deadly wave. Thailand has become a very popular destination for Western tourists wanting to experience the good weather, nice beaches, and exotic culture. Jackie and John Nell, a married couple from Canada, also fell in love with this country. They frequently made trips there and even called Thailand their second home. They loved the country to such an extent that in 2004 they decided to spend Christmas there instead of with their family. Their children were all grown up, so the couple thought, why not escape the cold Canadian weather for a bit of tropical fun? After some planning, they decided to once again visit Khao Lak, one of their favorite places in the country. So when Christmas came, they were enjoying themselves in this beautiful beach town and told their kids how perfect their vacation was going. But then, on December 26th, one day after Christmas, something terrible happened. The day started like any other, and the couple went down to the beach. At this point, they expected to have a nice, relaxing day on the beach. However, as soon as they stepped out of their beach villa, they saw a large crowd of people gathering at the shore. Jackie and John, who had been there many times, knew exactly why these people had gathered this early in the morning. Due to an extremely low tide, the ocean had receded so far that a completely new landscape was created temporarily. Just like the other onlookers, John grabbed his digital camera and took some pictures of the interesting landscape. In their excitement, none of them realized that this extremely low tide wasn't normal at all. In fact, it was nature's way of announcing a huge tsunami coming their way. Instead of taking photos, everyone should have turned around and fled the town. After a few minutes, they finally see a massive wave coming closer and closer. And at some point, everyone was wiped out by this natural disaster, including John and Jackie. 230,000 people died that day, and the couple was never seen again. But their camera was eventually found, the SIM card still intact. And the photos found on the card were extremely disturbing. In a series of photos, you can see the tsunami coming closer and closer with each shot, until the last picture showed the crashing wave just meters away from them. Finger guns. Our next photo captures a seemingly innocent moment, but with the benefit of hindsight, it becomes deeply disturbing. This image shows two teenage boys posing with their classmates during a school assembly. These two young men are Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold, the perpetrators of one of the deadliest events in American history, the Columbine shooting. In the photo, Harris and Klebold are seen making finger guns at the camera, a gesture that, at the time, may have seemed playful or harmless, but it wasn't. This was no joke. At this point, they were already planning their deadly assault on the school, and this was their twisted way to let everyone know. Harris and Klebold, who planned for at least a year and hoped to have a large number of victims, intended for the attack to primarily be a bombing, and only secondarily a shooting. These included pipe bombs, carbon dioxide cartridges filled with gunpowder, Molotov cocktails, and propane tanks converted to bombs. The propane bombs were used in the cafeteria, the shooters' cars, and in another location intended as a diversion and a trap for the police. But when several homemade bombs they planted in the school failed to detonate, the pair launched a shooting attack. On this day, one teacher, 12 students, and both the shooters died. 21 additional people were injured. The Columbine incident was the deadliest mass shooting at a K-12 school in U.S. history. Going back to the photo, the finger guns in this photo were not just a casual pose. They were a reflection of the violence that was brewing inside them, violence that would soon erupt in the most horrific way. Jodi Aras. Jodi Aras was born on July 9th, 1980, in Salinas, California. Her early life was relatively unremarkable. She was known as a bright and artistic young woman, but as she grew older, her life took a darker turn. By the time she reached her 20s, Jodi became involved in a series of toxic relationships, but none would be as destructive as the one with Travis Alexander. Travis Alexander was a successful and devout Mormon living in Mesa, Arizona. He met Jodi Aras at a work conference in 2006, and their connection was instant. Despite their intense attraction, their relationship was turbulent from the start. Travis, deeply rooted in his religious beliefs, saw Jodi as both a lover and a moral conflict. Their relationship quickly became a secretive and obsessive affair, filled with passionate moments and bitter arguments. Jodi, on the other hand, saw Travis as the love of her life. As their relationship deteriorated, her obsession with him only grew. Travis, on the other hand, was weirded out by Jodi's obsessive behavior. Eventually, he began to distance himself from Jodi. However, his mistake was not to completely leave this toxic relationship. Despite breaking up with her, he kept having regular sex with Jodi. Meanwhile, Jodi thought their sexual encounters were proof that they would eventually end up together. She was truly obsessed with Travis. Eventually, Travis wanted to start dating other women, which only fueled Jodi's jealousy. In 2008, things took a deadly turn. Jodi's obsession reached its peak, and she made the decision that would forever change both of their lives. On June 4th of that year, Jodi drove from her home in California to Travis's house in Arizona. What happened next was nothing short of horrific. The crime scene photos tell a brutal story. Travis Alexander was found dead in his bathroom, having suffered 27 stab wounds, a slit throat, and a gunshot to the head. It was an overkill of unimaginable proportions. But the most disturbing part of this case is not just the violence of the crime, but the premeditation and coldness with which Jodi carried it out. In the hours before the murder, she and Travis engaged in intimate activities, even taking photos together. One of those photos, taken just minutes before his death, shows Travis in the shower, unaware of the horror that was about to unfold. This image would later become one of the key pieces of evidence in her trial. After the murder, Jodi attempted to cover her tracks. She cleaned the crime scene, disposed of the weapon, and tried to establish an alibi. But despite her efforts, forensic evidence quickly pointed to her. The police found a camera in Travis's washing machine containing the photos they had taken that day. All these photos were restored and painted a horrifying picture of what happened that night. There were photos of their intimacy, photos of Travis in the shower, and finally a photo of Jodi's bloody foot stepping over the camera. It was later assumed that this picture was taken by accident when the camera fell down during the attack on Travis. During the trial, Jodi Aras displayed a chilling lack of remorse. She first claimed innocence, then self-defense, weaving a web of lies that ultimately unraveled. The jury saw through her facade, and in 2013, she was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. This photo, showing a seemingly ordinary young woman, serves as a haunting reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface. Jodi Aras, once an aspiring artist and photographer, became a symbol of obsession and violence.